So I wanted to go a little more in depth off of what we talked about last week about the different phases of how we approach food. And we talked about how we have eating for pleasure, eating for convenience, eating for recovery, and eating for health. And I want to focus a little more on what that looks like in eating for health. And eating for health, we want foods, we want to have a diversity, a variety of foods. We want those to be organic, so they're not sprayed with pesticides. We want to look at the food sources where they're coming from. So where is our meat coming from? If we're talking about beef, was the cattle grass-fed, or was the cattle fed genetically modified soy or grains? And then why does that matter? Why do we even care about that, right? We end up caring about that, for instance, with the example of the beef, because you will actually have a different nutritional profile with a cow that has been grass-fed versus a cow that's grain-fed. And things we think about are, one of those is going to be less inflammatory than the other. And so the grass-fed that will have a higher omega-3 profile, which is less inflammatory, obviously, because omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. So these are the type of conscious choices that once we learn more and more about the quality of food and where it comes from, we're more empowered to make better, empowering choices for ourselves. And so we can take that example and we can look at it for eggs, for instance. And do we want eggs that have been commercial eggs where all the chickens are crammed in these big factory houses? Or do we want a chicken that is more naturally raised in pasture, right? We see pasture-raised chickens. And again, what it comes down to, not only the ethical treatment of the animals, right? But we're looking at the nutrient profile of those two comparisons. And you will be able to even visually see this, not even knowing, this has more omega-3s or this has more protein. You'll be able to see the difference in looking. If you cracked an egg open that was a commercial egg versus a pasteurized egg, you will be able to see that one of the yolks is going to be a darker yellow, sometimes almost an orange. And the other yolks are going to be a really light yellow or pale. And that's an indication to you and a sign to know that this one has more nutrients. It's more nutrient dense. And so therefore that's going to give your body more nutrients, right? And you can use that when you're looking at things like butter. Sometimes, you see butter in a restaurant, it's white, right? And then you can see butter, if you ever buy that Irish butter or organic butter, it's a much deeper color of yellow or orange. And that's an indication to tell you, this has more minerals. This is going to be more mineral dense for my body. And furthering that example, you can take that with berries or lettuce or anything that's going to have a darker color, say brown rice versus white rice, even black rice versus white rice. The darker the color, the more vitamins and minerals that food is going to have. So I like to tell people, when you do decide to eat, make it worth your while, right? Go for those mineral-rich foods, whether that's in berries or darker kale versus romaine lettuce. Now, I still eat romaine lettuce, but I also can make a choice. When I feel like maybe I'm just feeling run down, I really want to start eating foods that I know are nutrient dense. And that's how you start using food as your medicine. When you start making choices about looking for the foods that are going to nourish your body the most.